Decolonization is the process of a region gaining independence and self-government. To cease and decolonize as soon as possible, we must talk about defining ideas. The term decolonization refers to the process by which Western countries granted freedom to various Asian and African colonies following World War II. Before we can talk about decolonization, we must first discuss colonialism, which was the long-term oppression and exploitation of indigenous peoples in Asia, Africa, and the Americas. Through military, economic, and cultural means beginning in the 15th century and led by European powers. When we talk about colonialism, there are two types: material colonization, which simply takes over territory and resources, and epistemological colonization. What is epistemological colonization? Although we are physically independent, our hearts and minds continue to be colonized. From the Muslims and Jews of Andalusia to the Aztecs, Mayans, Incas, and Indians of the Americas, slaves in Africa, and women in Europe, these social groups' knowledge systems have been brutally destroyed. This is the epistemological colonization, which involves not only the physical annihilation of the inhabitants but also the eradication of their cultural and intellectual traditions, with far-reaching consequences. Even though many declared there would be no more colonization after World War II, what is happening in Palestine now is part of colonization. Israel is attempting to colonize Palestine now, so what I'm saying is that colonization continues. Western countries feel that exploration and colonization are legitimate and beneficial. Some European philosophers thought that exploration was a natural instinct, and it has advantages, as colonization promotes the advancement of religion, politics, society, and the economy between the spiritual and ideological levels. This type of behavior cannot be controlled. This ideology motivates them, and knowledge is power, which is secular in nature. Bacon's statement that knowledge is power reinforces the prominent importance of scientific study and knowledge in colonial activity. Bacon advocated using reason and empirical investigation to control nature and, by implication, any uninformed culture. According to Smith, 1999, European powers saw technological and scientific superiority as justification for their imperialist activities, believing that it was their responsibility to bring their advanced knowledge to the backward parts of the world, thereby legitimizing their dominance and exploitation. Since this idea was later discovered and explained by the student René Descartes as Cartesian dualism, he said, I thought, I think, therefore I am. I consider my ability to acquire knowledge to be my reasons for being. Descartes' philosophy emphasizes that individual reasoning is the basis of truth and existence, which foreshadowing a worldview shift centered on individualism and rationalism. So Cartesian dualism effectively separates mind from body, man from nature. This ideology fosters egoism since Descartes' conception of the origin of thought and body is highly personal. Simultaneously, Cartesian dualism fosters egoism, the belief that humans are the most significant entity in the universe, that they are unconcerned about other people, nature, or God. Everything must be self-centered. At the same time, the British began to colonize, based on the ideology of Eurocentrism, the idea that Europe or the West is the best in the world and that European identity and values are considered the standard or norm. Cartesian dualism supported Eurocentrism by unifying the philosophy of European rationalism as the pinnacle of human achievement. People are still influenced by Cartesian dualism, a view that encourages the manipulation of nature for human purposes, as independent and subject to human will. We are destroying the world and humans only care about what can make them happy, what happens in nature, what happens in the environment, and don't care. So what's the result? People are still influenced by Cartesian dualism, a view that encourages the manipulation of nature for human purposes, as independent and subject to human will. We are destroying the world and humans only care about what can make them happy, what happens in nature, what happens in the environment, and don't care. So what's the result? So we need to decolonize ourselves. We need to liberate our thinking from Eurocentrism, because we have been Eurocentric for hundreds of years. Now we need to change that. And how?
I'll begin from the beginning. We've been fighting about the definition for so long, but people are slowly moving away from the idea of attempting to define this and simply understanding that this is a call to self-liberation. This is a call to mental freedom, to abandon mental slavery and embrace Africanity. To say it to the Eurocentric opinion shapers, you cannot do this. You cannot define and confine us. We know who we are. We know where we came from. Portions of history that you erased, we'll revive them. We'll bring them back. We'll teach them in our schools. We'll disseminate them. Quite a number of our people will understand who they are and where they came from. And Africa will rise again. So the definition problem as a barrier, we are slowly overcoming that by understanding that we don't all have to define. You see, this Eurocentric view that a concept can only have one definition, universally accepted but generated from Europe, is flawed. We are now at a stage where we are embracing multiple definitions for the same concept, so long as it takes the decolonial project forward, so long as it fosters common understanding of the same concept that we're all trying to debunk. Well, we are way beyond, trying to define decolonization or fighting about its definition.
We need to have a strong self-identity, break through the identities imposed by colonialism, and rediscover your own values and experiences of pre-colonial cultures, languages, and traditions. National identity in the context of decolonization refers to the establishment of a collective identity for a newly independent state, usually through the Communist Party. Formed with the experience of colonization and the struggle for liberation, we must have a strong national identity, be proud to be Chinese, be proud to be Indian, be proud to be Malaysian, stand in front of the people of the world, stand in front of them and do what they want. Be an ecological man, take care of nature, don't think about your interests, just think about what will happen to nature, re-establishing a sustainable and respectful relationship with nature, in contrast to the exploitative and extractive methods that colonizers often brought with them. This aspect reflects a return to indigenous practices, which see humans as part of the ecosystem and responsible for the environment. Promote local genius or unique, innovative, technological and cultural expressions developed in indigenous societies. This includes the recognition and cultivation of local techniques, arts, agricultural practices, and other forms of knowledge that are often undermined by colonial powers that prefer Western technologies and products. Shiva 1993 believes that recognition and promotion of local genius is crucial to cultural survival and economic independence, as it enables communities to play their part and meet their needs through indigenous innovation. Returning to traditional belief systems rather than secularism. Tensions between tradition and secularism often arise in post-colonial societies as they inherit Western secular models and their own religious or traditional frameworks. Now people are returning to religion because secularism has failed. Easterners, Westerners, we are all ideological consumers. Promote Westernism, not Orientalism. Post-colonial thinkers subverted Orientalist views and advocated Occidentalism, critically viewing the West through a non-Western lens, promoting your point of view to the world. Western attention is the key to our success in decolonizing our minds and not forgetting that we are stewards of this world, the earth. We have a responsibility to take care of our relationship with God, our relationship with our fellow human beings, our relationship with the environment and nature.